What's up everybody, this is Master Ian Gamer. We just got a new Overwatch 2 developer blog outlining some of the upcoming changes we can expect in this season's mid-season patch, along with some little tidbits and teasers for future content coming a little further down the line, such as in Season 10, specifically one of which is the Wrecking Ball rework. Yes, it does seem that'll be coming sooner rather than later. But real quick first, before we jump into the details of this blog post, I would also like to mention that if you haven't seen it already, Blizzard did earlier today release the trailer for the upcoming Cowboy Bebop collab, a really exciting collab based off the skins they've shown off so far. I did a video talking about it, which I will have linked in the cards on screen, so feel free to check that out. But otherwise, now let's dive into today's director take. Now, overall, the blog post doesn't go too in-depth with the upcoming changes. It's just a sort of simple discussion of the changes to come as opposed to outright patch notes. But there are some specific changes which are delved into here. The first of which is regarding this season's new damage passive. Now, for those of you who maybe have forgotten, in Season 9, they introduced a new passive for damage heroes, which reduces the amount of healing targets receive when they're hit and taking damage from a damage hero. This has obviously been a pretty impactful change this season, and it sounds like there's going to be a slight nerf to that passive based off of what they discuss here. One of the goals of the recent health increase was to soften some of the burst damage in the game. This is one of those effects that can be very difficult to tune just right, so we're going to take a small step back in the next patch and lessen the healing reduction of this damage passive from 20% to 15%. We'll keep an eye on it and go from there. So just a 5% nerf, nothing too significant, but it has felt rather strong, particularly on certain tank heroes, so it is nice to see Blizzard taking a slight step back with the passive without going too overboard with just nerfing or removing it or something like that. Getting onto some of these specific patches though, they first up mention that with balance, they'll be touching roughly half the heroes in the roster in this upcoming mid-season patch. The power of heroes moved around a lot this season, and while we think this type of change can be healthy for the game, we'd still like to make sure that all heroes feel viable. We'll release a full set of patch notes in a few days. We'd like to get into a few of the more notable changes that they're making here. On the support side, we're making a fairly significant buff to Ana's grenade. Its damage and healing will move from 60 to 90 health to give her more self-survivability. Ana is an interesting hero and one of the most played in the entire game, so we're hoping that this adjustment brings her to a place where she feels viable, but not dominant. I'm immediately skeptical about this. Ana, of course, even as they acknowledge here, has historically been a very prominent hero in Overwatch, and her Bionade is a large part of that. It's a very powerful mechanic to be able to deny enemy healing, not to mention its boost to allied healing. So giving it a healing buff feels like a bit much. It seems like it was mainly done to just help with her own self-sustain, being able to use it on herself, so maybe it won't end up feeling too powerful in that regard with this specific buff they're planning to give it. But in general, buffing Ana and specifically her biotic grenade makes me a bit wary, but we'll see how it ends up playing out. We're also making a few adjustments to Lifeweaver to help with his healing burst potential. Maximum heal will increase from 70 to 80, with the maximum charge increasing from 1 to 1.15 seconds. Along with the reduced damage roll passive, we think both he and Mercy will be more reliable moving forward. So interesting that they mentioned Mercy here when it doesn't seem like the changes mentioned really pertain to her, but a slight buff to Lifeweaver, which, maybe. I think Lifeweaver has felt more or less fine in Season 9, but he will be getting a slight buff, it sounds like. Moving on to the tank heroes, Doomfist and Malga are two of the tanks getting a tune-up. Meteor Strike's minimum damage will increase from 15 to 50. While this might not seem like a big change, the amount of damage his ultimate does scales from the edge of its effect to the center and should result in a lot more guaranteed damage. Ultimately, we want Meteor Strike to give Doomfist or his team the ability to follow it up and secure eliminations more reliably. Malga is getting changes to his Cardiac Overdrive ability. Its duration will decrease from 5 to 4 seconds, and its cooldown will decrease from 12 to 10 seconds. Additionally, it will fill his passive overhealth by 100. We want the ability to be more reliable and more consistently give Malga additional survivability. Malga will also receive a buff to his Overrun, the stomp damage increasing from 45 to 60. So multiple little buffs it seems to Malga, which is interesting considering how vehemently people were wanting him to be nerfed not that long ago. Well, with the Season 9 changes, he's definitely been one of the tank heroes to really suffer, so it's probably called for to give him some assistance here. Giving him the 100 overhealth on Cardiac Overdrive kind of feels like just the same thing they've done with Fortify for Orisa and the Junker Queen's Shout ability. I guess just giving bonus over health for the tank's self-sustainability is their go-to at this point. Maybe I would have wanted something a bit more unique for him in this regard, but it'll probably serve the same purpose just fine. A tank we're not touching this patch is Wrecking Ball, but we have a small rework coming to our lovable yet deranged hamster in Season 10. Interesting. So this is something that Blizzard has talked about multiple times in the past. The idea of giving Wrecking Ball some sort of mini rework, but given his rise in viability with the Season 9 changes, I was kind of skeptical whether or not they were actually going to end up going through with this rework, but apparently they do still plan to, and we can look forward to that coming sometime in Season 10. Unfortunately, they don't go into any detail about what that'll entail, but I am cautiously optimistic, eager to see what they have in store. Well, that does it for all the balance changes that are specifically addressed here in this blog post. They do also mention that there will be another upcoming quick play hacked event called Double Trouble, which removes the one hero limitation in game. Roll queue will still be active, but this means that players can choose two of the same hero for both the damage and support roles. The hero limit was something that was implemented in Overwatch early into the original launch. At the time, we didn't have roll queue in the game, and players could create a team of 5 Winstons and a support. We called this strategy the Quinston, and it won our first internal tournament. However, now that we do have roll queue in the game, the possibility of creating comps like this is gone. Giving players more freedom in which hero they choose and more creativity in putting comps together could be great. We can't wait to see what you come up with. This is a interesting one. This feels like the perfect sort of thing for them to be experimenting with in a quick play hacked event, and I am curious to see how it plays out. But at the same time, I wonder if we're just going to see a lot of doubling up of Mercies or Kirikos, because those are the characters people like to play in the support role, or something similar happening in damage. It'll be an interesting experiment. I'm not quite sure what to expect from it just yet, and I'm not going to say one way or the other at this point whether this is likely to be something they implement to the permanent modes of quick play and competitive in the future, but an interesting experiment to see how it plays out. And that'll do it for this week's Overwatch 2 Director Take. Interesting changes coming, it sounds like, although I am still personally most excited for the upcoming Cowboy Bebop collab in the mid-season patch coming this Tuesday, March 12th. Should be exciting all around though. I will be streaming the mid-season patch on Tuesday once it goes live, so be sure to stay tuned for that. And otherwise, let me know your thoughts on these changes mentioned in the comments down below. Are any of them changes which you were hoping heroes would be getting? Or maybe they're a push in the direction that you weren't expecting or don't like to hear is coming. Either way, be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this video and subscribe. Hit up that bell icon, come follow me on X, and join my Discord server to hang out and never miss any of my future Overwatch 2 news, streams, and other content. Special thanks to my YouTube channel members who help make these videos possible. And if you'd like to join them to earn some cool rewards, then just hit that join button down below. Otherwise, this is Master Ian Gamer signing off, and until next time, have a great day.